Today on Land Beat, we're going to talk about what it means to find scrapes, rubs, and how it fits into your hunting strategy. We get this question a lot with our consulting business, that when we're out on properties and we find rubs, does that mean we should hang a tree stand or place a blind? And the excitement level varies depending on how big the scrape or how big the rub or how many rubs or how many scrapes that we find. So we're going to break that down. Generally, you're out walking through the woods and you find a little bitty twig or a small tree that's been rubbed. My excitement level goes about like,
Cool.
that.
Cool.
Cool, a rub. It basically tells me there was a deer here with antlers at some point recently. And that's about it. I don't get too excited when I find just one rub in the middle of the woods or in a field, or a pine tree randomly, or a apple tree that got rubbed.
Even like the rub blinds, a lot of people talk about, there's a lot of articles written about them. A lot of that activity happens at night, and that can be from a lot of different deer. It doesn't have to be the exact same buck. It's just a travel pattern at that specific time that they were there. Reoccurring rubs can happen, but it's pretty infrequent. That's like that same line they're doing every single day. So rub lines in general, just away from a single rub, still don't get that excited
What
about.
they tell me is deer pass through here on a regular basis at that point of the year. So from finding the one random rub to finding more rubs and going from almost completely unexcited to the most excited I can get for finding rubs, which isn't really that excited, is from one single one to a whole train of decent size rubs on the edge of a ridge. It tells me there's a buck that is coming through here, and this might be a terrain feature that he likes to use on a regular basis.
Or it's several bucks coming through. Doesn't have to
Could
be
be.
a single, like the one buck. Multiple deer will rub and come and check and put their nose on it, see who's been there. But it can be multiple deer, multiple bucks of all shapes and sizes too. The tree that is rubbed doesn't determine the buck size, age, maturity level of who rubbed that.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. That defies a lot of the kind of myths and stuff out there, but that's science, and that's what it tells us. The size does not determine the age of the buck who rubbed that tree.
Yeah. Scrapes is where I get a little bit more excited. Not just on any old scrape either. A lot of times you're walking a food plot edge and you find a single scrape and you're like, oh, maybe I should hunt here. I'm guilty of that when I was a younger bow hunter, saying, hey, I found a scrape, let's hunt over it. Those happen if it's on a field edge, probably at night. It could be a one-time use. Buck walks up, he comes out into a field, he sees some does, it's October 15th, and he says, he gets kind of amped up and he works a scrape. The scrapes that I get most excited about, or when I start thinking about maybe hunting in that location, is when I can see a bigger scrape that looks like multiple deer are using, it's always cleared out, and I placed a camera on it and said, okay, they use that thing quite a bit. I technically don't hunt over the scrape to shoot a deer coming to it. It's more about hunting that location that deer are frequenting and keeping the scrape within bow range, because if they're passing through or I have to grunt at that deer, there's a better chance that he might actually come and work the scrape.
Yeah,
But
for
scrapes
sure.
can mean a lot of things. They can mean that that two bucks got together and one tried to posture up and intimidate the other one and he made a scrape. And that scrape may never be worked again. But scrapes that are in the timber just off a big feeding area or bedding area where deer are going to frequently come
During daylight
during
as well.
daylight, those are the scrapes to get excited about.
And I think it's important to note like size, how well worn out it is. How you can tell based on how much rain or lack of rain that you've been having to know how often that thing has been worked. Sometimes you can see wet spots where they've urinated, and just again determine the activity level of that scrape and know, should I place a camera there? And again, the camera isn't necessarily going to say, or should tell you, that's the exact spot to hunt. That just tells you and gives you an inventory of the deer that are working one of the most active scrapes in that area. So you know who's in there. Generally, you can find other pinch points. You can find downwind areas of bedding units. to be able to hunt and still harvest that deer. It doesn't have to be over a scrape, but scrapes are a great way to tell who's there and how frequently.
And if it's bucks, so you could go into a food plot and see a lot of browse pressure, see a lot of deer scat, and not find any scrapes, and be like, it's probably a big group of does or bucks that aren't making scrapes. But if it's the end of October and there's a lot of deer sign and there's no scrapes, then we've got issues. So scrapes can indicate a lot of things. Rubs can indicate deer use or deer in that area. But most of the time, those are not going to be something that we base our hunting strategy on.